there's only so much information. Sometimes there's only so many things I can think to say at a certain time. It doesn't feel stale and boring to repeat myself if I want to. But, I want to. And, I will admit that, Deborah Silverman repeats herself in her videos. She sort of talks about kind of, the same or similar themes in her videos. But let me tell you, that is she is giving her own, knowledge. We have some creatures in our attic up there, so they're trying to get scared away. So if you're hearing that, then that's what's going on. Anyway, she's sharing what she knows, and what she has done for 40 plus years. And first of all, it doesn't, okay, I'm starting at the basement and I'm moving up here. So on the lowest level of the pyramid to the highest level of the pyramid. Okay, let's start at the bottom. It's not a broken record. It's not, annoying or meaningless. And it isn't so many other things. And she does, sort of say, very similar things in her videos. I mean, if I had to make a constructive criticism with Deborah Silverman, I'm going to be honest. I would say go a little bit, more in depth about things. That would be, one of the things I'm going to say. The second thing is I want to see longer videos from you about an eclipse, or Jupiter changing signs, or Saturn changing signs, or Mercury going retrograde. I do other videos aside from the daily videos that you do, and I want to see you in your house where you live, personally, and also more astrology, general astrology videos like planets and signs and aspects and all those things like that. I mean, that's what I'll say. Different than I was talking about with Adam Olympus. Now, the other thing, which is huge, is that there is so much on offer. There's so much, so many wonderful things about Deborah Silverman. It's a pity, though, that so much of that wonder comes at the cost of $1,000. $1,000. Nadia Shaw. She has people coming to her Synchronicity University who have expert advice and they're an expert at what they do. They're top notch, high end astrologers, and those courses are accessible. They are more readily available. They are cheaper. Money. The concept of money, which I have a whole, spiel that I could talk about money. I have Neptune, which is dissolving of boundaries. It is illusionment. It is kind of escapism, but it is spirituality, not material. It's immaterial in the second house of material possessions, values, and money. So the certain aspects of it that I am against. It is a tool. Money is not the root of all evil. It is a tool that is used for evil. No, it is used for a lot of great things, but it's also used for evil. Anyway, money. It comes down to money, which comes at sort of something that I don't that I don't like. Is that she has this school and it's $1,000. Crazy. And yet these people who, that's truth, they go more in depth. They check off so many boxes of, being an astrologer and so many different things. And you can pay less money for them. But then you have to pay $1,000 for her school. I didn't agree with that. So that's just something there that I know. Like, Braca Goldsmith would express that. That alone. I'm not talking about who Deborah Silverman is, how she shows up on those videos, the things that she talked about, just the planets revolving around the sun, which you have to pay. The sun is free. You can walk outside and cherish the, light and warmth of the sun. You don't have to pay to spend time in the sun. The planets that revolve around it are her videos and posts. The sun is that, school, which costs $1 million. Braca has a sun that is free, which she comes on live stream. She does, videos. She does all these kind of things, and she makes it more reasonable in terms of the amount of money that people can pay. I mean, yes, you can work hard and make that money, make $1,000 and pay for it, but let's get real. Let's get real. And we're going to talk about the cost of things, and is it worth with Jupiter and Taurus, but don't take the second house as just a financial house, money. It's so narrow, and I don't agree with that. Let's look at it just all around the material world, the material resources, nature. What is material? What is, embodied? The second house. And there's more, but anyway, my thought is that, Braca Goldsmith, more free content, which she gives if you really want, something deep, nourishing, profound, all those terms, and just watch one of her live streams. the same can be said about, owning authenticity and, others out there. And so she talks about, astrology in a similar way, except she is not a psychotherapist like Deborah Silverman. She was a financial, person who dealt with finances. Now she, channels, which is probably going to become more of a norm once we have, Uranus heading into Gemini a couple of years down the road. A lot is going to be happening at this Amenten a couple of years down the road. In the early part of the year, a lot's going to happen astrologically. Anyway, now the other thing, Deborah Silverman, talking about repetition of what you're saying. Yes, she, does kind of, well, yeah, well, I don't want to make it a bad thing. I'm just telling you how it is. Heather Ensworth. She does videos like Pam, they're, friends. They had several conversations together. They had one just the other day that I was watching into today. And Heather Ensworth, her work deals with larger energy patterns and shamanistic astrology. I think that she had a background in anthropology and psychology. And so, you can go check out her channel. And you will find, if you watch probably one of her videos, but multiple of her videos, that it ultimately comes down to a list of things that she keeps on talking about over and over again that are abstract, that do not have, they're not substantial. They are not, like, when you're not grounding what you're saying down to reality. You're not, it's so abstract, and it's the same old pattern over and over again, the same hamster wheel and the same cycle of the same things over and over again. Here's what you need to know. With Heather Ensworth, you're going to, this is when she describes planets in signs and full moons and new moons with any cycle, with anything going on. Here is how she describes it for every, astrological energy that she is talking about. She talks about times of transition, profound times. She uses that word a lot. Profound, powerful times of transformation and healing. She talks about being connected to all that is, talking about, those things over and over again. being interconnected with all that is and all the life around us, the balancing of the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine, connection with the earth and the sky, letting go of the paradigms of the past, top-down structures, the critical, juncture for humanity. These, planets are guiding us to move in new directions. That's, and she also brings up higher consciousness. It's like higher consciousness, cosmic consciousness. What are you talking about? And I can see where there can be skeptics that will come right to her and say, what? What do you mean, higher consciousness? What do you mean? You keep saying the same things over again, but, what do you mean? And it is repetitive. It's a repetitive loop over and over again. I don't know what the intentions is, to soothe, I don't know, but she can do meditations. If there's a meditation, I am an ancient tree by Colin Baron Reid, an ancient tree meditation that she did for, for getting grounded and, getting centered and being more present. And she can do meditations so naturally, because of her, soothing qualities and, all those kind of things, but she is not really all that substantial in which she talks about. And, there's not, too much. Just talk about this cycle, and then this other cycle, and then just say the same things. I'm sick and tired of hearing it, because not only do I know it, but how is it relevant to my life? How is it meaningful? It's not. So, so very rarely do I see her videos, and when I do, I'm not too surprised, because it always ends up to being the same thing, or the, similar thing. And there's a spiritual concept that she didn't create, but that came. This is where Amenten moments comes in. When you hear random words and you see people, and people speak in a certain way, they say certain things, and even though they don't say that, this random word comes to mind. The random word that comes to mind with her is Ricola. Ricola. What is a Ricola? Ricola. But I could completely see her saying that. And I'm coming up with that term now. I'm going to do a post about it. A blog post. And how it can be auricular. You're caught in auricula. In auricula. Not auricula, but auricula. Notice there's a different sense. Auricula is what Heather Emsworth does. It is the same old pattern of non-substantial information that is saying over and over and over again. That's auricular, which is also soothing and feminine and all those positive spiritual things, but it's kind of stale. And there's not a whole lot going on for it. It's abstract. It's not substantial. So, what do you, those are my thoughts. Going back to what I was saying earlier, I don't want to copy people. I am my own person. when it comes to talking about astrology. And I hope it doesn't look like I'm copying other people. I hope it doesn't look like it. I'm just saying what I know, saying what I've researched. So, yeah. And I'm not going to dim down my own personal power and integrity by citing every single source that I come across the information, because that's not what, astrologers do. They don't just, look at websites and have information that they're talking about. And then, just, that's not what they do. That is what I do, and I will be the first to admit that. But then I also know so much, and also brings about all the things that I know, and, I say different things. I have my own take on it. With the information that I know and the information that I research. It's both and. So, yes. Now, there is going to be a song for, Heather Ensworth, which we may push to the autumn concert. That may be one of the autumn songs. Anyway, we may do something for, her and that. I don't know. I think I'm not particular when it comes to what I'm watching, but I find that I am, that what's meaningful to me is certain videos and not other videos, because so much of it is just, noise, and it's like, oh yeah, that's so great, but, so there is, kind of superficial, element to, some of it, there's only so much depth, there is, and I don't want to lose where it all came from. And of course, yes, I'm going to allow myself to, see videos, by other astrologers, of course I am. But I am going to be having Deborah Silverman come back to the Amenten sometime. Probably will be the, what a really good time would be. Right around the lunar eclipse. I think I'm going to maybe have her come around at that time, because it may be an intense time. And, there's so many, astrological themes with that, running through that, talking about that. But yeah, the astrology community here at my Amenten might become less, but, and I can find more value sometimes from her content than other people's content, and, I do kind of feel like her videos and her things sort of get pushed or knocked down a few pegs with all the, videos that I'm watching, and, so many different things. But there's several astrologers who are on a same or similar wavelength as her in what she says. There's several. Nadia Shaw, Brenda Goldsmith, Kathy Rose, who will be coming to the Amenten sometime middle of May, so right around the Fixed Grand Cross, she'll be arriving to talk about that, those energies with all of us. And maybe she'll come along for the semi-final, which I talked about earlier. So Anyway, I thought that I would just come here and talk to you about this now. This evening, I don't want to keep you any longer because here's what's going to be happening. You're going to be going into the theater and you're going to be watching Maleficent 2. By the way, how did everybody like their cafe treats this morning from what I call the Lin Lin's Cafe? I had this Italian restaurant in Des Moines when I was little, and it had another name to it, but I just came up with a name for it, my own name for it. And the name that I have for the cafe that you went to was the Lin Lin Cafe. So that's what I'll call it. How did all of you like what you got? Did everyone like what you got, or what did you what did you order? What did you order? Anyone who wants to volunteer? Yes. It's good. Sounds delicious. It's been a while since I've been there. Maybe sometime I'll think about stopping in. Tonight you're going to be looking at the perils of leadership. Now we're going to talk about the hero archetype later in May. I'm going to talk about it in my video. What it means to be a hero, Mars and Leo, because I associate the sign of Leo, hero. I associate those two signs. However, I will put Aries above Leo. I don't have any Leo in my natal chart, and Aries to me is much more fiery. I would, I prefer Aries. I am an Aries. There's a part of Leo that I don't understand it. I mean, I understand it so much, but I feel like there's so many layers that get overlooked with Leo, and it ends up being so superficial, but it's actually very deep, and Leo can be pretty misunderstood, so you can go deep where the superficial and all that glitters, shininess, Leo. Well, let's take a deep dive into the Leo sign and understand the truth and the deeper meaning behind what Leo is all about, and how those characteristics and traits are similar to Aries.